If you've ever had the feeling that the universe was setting you up for a joke at your expense, congratulations, you've been married. I didn't walk into that restaurant expecting a comedy show, but the punchline hit me in the gut anyway. Ashley, my wife of 9 years, had sent me a text earlier that day. Let's have dinner tonight. Just us. Something we need to talk about. That kind of message could mean anything from, we're getting a dog, to, I crashed the car again. But something about the phrasing, just us, struck me as odd. Still, I dressed nice. Even shaved. Told myself it might be a turning point. Maybe we'd stop sleeping with a mile of mattress between us. I got to the restaurant 5 minutes early. That's what good husbands do, right? They show up on time and believe in fairy tales. Except there she was, already seated. Not alone. Next to her was a guy who looked like he was born in a cologne commercial. The kind of guy who says, bro, a lot and means it. Tight black shirt. Slick smile. Eyes that didn't blink. He didn't even look up when I walked over. Just reached for his wine like he owned the place. Ashley gave me that rehearsed smile. The one she used on people who accidentally called her by the wrong name. Logan, she said sweetly, this is Chase. From work. Yeah, from work. The mysterious coworker who popped up in conversations more and more lately. The one who just gets her. I shook his hand out of reflex. It was like shaking a smug towel. Nice to meet you, I said, like I didn't want to knock his teeth out already. He nodded. You too, man. You're braver than I thought. Braver? I blinked. Ashley didn't even look at me. She was too busy sipping wine like this was a scene from some drama she was producing. Chase leaned in. Let's cut to it. You've got two options. Leave quietly, or face me like a man. Let me tell you something about hearing those words from the guy who's been circling your marriage like a shark in swim trunks. You don't hear the clinking silverware or the polite jazz anymore. You just hear your pulse. I stood. Calm. Cold. My smile stretched wider than it should have. You want your teeth whole, or in pieces? That's when I flipped the table with Chase's jaw. Plates went flying. Wine painted Ashley's white blouse like a scarlet letter. People screamed. Chase hit the floor. Security dragged me out. My knuckles were bleeding and my heart was somehow still beating. Ashley didn't follow. She didn't even call. Just watched me go like I was a stranger she hoped would disappear. But the best part? That wasn't the discovery. That was just the trailer. I walked into the house that night like a man stepping onto a crime scene. Not because anything was out of place, Ashley kept a tidy home, but because everything felt wrong. Too neat. Too staged. Her perfume still lingered in the air. But underneath it, there was something else. A cologne I didn't recognize. Subtle, but unmistakable. The scent of someone who didn't belong. Someone who had. The bedroom was pristine. Bed made with military corners. Ashley never made the bed. She used to joke that life was too short for tucked sheets. But suddenly we're running a Hilton? I sat on the edge of that perfect bed, staring at the floor like it might confess to something. My hand was still sore from putting Chase on the marble. My brain was louder than the silence around me. Then my phone buzzed. A text. From her. You didn't have to do that. You embarrassed yourself. No, are you okay? No, let's talk. Just a message from someone who was already rewriting the story to make me the villain in it. I didn't reply. I stood up, walked to the closet, and started looking. Not because I needed confirmation. I already knew. I needed evidence. Truth I could hold. Started in the usual spots: purse, nightstand, the tablet she thought I never touched. Found some photos. Hotel rooms. Mirrors. Selfies. She told me she was at her friend's baby shower in Sacramento that weekend. Apparently, Sacramento has really high thread count sheets and complimentary bathrobes now. But it wasn't until I opened the bottom drawer of her dresser that I found it. A notebook. Not digital. Not typed. Old school, spiral-bound, tucked under a stack of scarves. I flipped it open. Dates. Names. Locations. Initials scribbled in shorthand like she was writing code for an espionage thriller. Lunch at CW 3 p.m. M. Blue. Funny. 8-7. Hotel on Franklin. Brought wine. Amazing laugh. A real man. And then the kicker. Right there on the last page. My husband doesn't know. He's sweet, but he'll never understand this part of me. It's better this way. Better. This way. I closed the notebook slowly. Held it in my lap like a weight I'd carried for years without realizing it had a name. You don't cry over things like that. You sit with them. You let them ferment into something colder. Sharper. And I thought, this isn't the betrayal. This was the receipt. There's a strange kind of calm that comes over you when you stop asking why and start asking how far back. That notebook didn't just spill secrets, it redrew my entire marriage in ink. I sat in the garage the next morning, the notebook on my lap, the engine off, staring at nothing. My coffee went cold in the cup holder. Didn't care. Time didn't move right anymore. Names I didn't recognize. A few I did. M, from the gym. D, from the conference in Phoenix. C, worth the risk. My hands trembled. Not from rage. Rage is loud. This was quieter. Like standing in the wreckage of a house you didn't know had burned down until you were standing ankle-deep in ash. Later that day, she came home. Like nothing happened. Hey, she called out from the hallway, hanging her purse like she hadn't left our life on the floor with the receipt still warm. I was at the kitchen table, notebook in front of me, flipped open to the page where she wrote, "I love the thrill of sneaking. My husband is too busy trying to be perfect to notice." She stepped into the room, froze, and saw what was in front of me. Her face didn't twist into guilt, didn't crumble into tears. She paused, calculated. Then she said, "You went through my things?" That was it. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I can explain." Just that. Like I was the one on trial. I leaned back in the chair, arms folded. "You labeled the hotel stays like they were calendar invites." "Logan," she started, voice soft, measured, like she was guiding me off a ledge. "You wrote it down," I said. "Names. Times. How many times?" One guy rated a 10 out of 10. "Congratulations." Her mouth opened, closed. She finally said, "It's not what you think." I laughed. "Just once. No humor in it." "Then tell me what it is. Enlighten me." Her eyes flickered. Then she sat down across from me like we were having a therapy session. "I needed something else," she said. "You stopped seeing me. You stopped listening." "I worked," I said. "I paid bills. I bought the damn groceries." "I didn't see you?" "You were with other men. What more did you want me to see?" She folded her hands. "It wasn't about them. It was about me." "Right. And the best way to find yourself is in the beds of strangers." "Makes perfect sense." I stood. "You brought me to that restaurant to humiliate me." "Why?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Because it was easier than telling you the truth." "Easier?" Funny how people choose easy when it's hardest for everyone else. I didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. I just walked out of the house and didn't come back until after dark. But here's the part she didn't know. While she was sleeping upstairs, I scanned every page of that notebook, uploaded every file I found on her tablet, matched receipts with timestamps, made a map. This wasn't grief anymore. This was logistics. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I wasn't going for cold. I was going for calculated. Precision over passion. Vengeance with a spreadsheet. The night after our little kitchen confession, I didn't sleep. Not from stress. Not anymore. I'd crossed the emotional threshold, past heartbreak, past confusion, into something eerily clear. I sat in the den, the soft glow of the desk lamp highlighting the chaos I had turned into a checklist. Notebook, scanned. Files, backed up. Timeline, constructed. I had even created a folder called Ashfall, a little joke for myself. Like Pompeii, only warmer. Ashley was asleep upstairs. Peacefully, I might add. There was a time I'd look at her sleeping and think, how lucky am I? Now, I saw someone who slept well because the burden of honesty had long since been tossed out with the recycling. At 3:17 a.m., I opened the notebook again. One name stood out. Our coffee shop, 2 p.m. Thursdays. I checked her calendar. It matched. Every Thursday for the last month and a half, she'd had a wellness appointment. Now, maybe R was a Reiki healer. But then again, Reiki healers usually don't leave lipstick on receipts from motel rooms 2 blocks away. Thursday was 2 days away. I decided to wait. Wednesday evening came like any other. She made salmon. We sat at the table like hostages negotiating a peace treaty. Her phone buzzed once, she ignored it. Buzzed again. This time she flipped it over. "You're quiet," she said. "Thinking," I replied. She nodded like she respected that. She didn't. After dinner, she watched some mindless reality show while I paid bills in the study. Really, I was creating a decoy login on her tablet to track changes in her browsing. For a woman who claimed I didn't pay enough attention, she sure left a trail like she wanted to be followed. Thursday morning, I kissed her on the forehead. She blinked at me like it was foreign. "You're in a good mood." "New client," I said. "Might be a big one." She smiled. "Maybe we can do something this weekend. Just us." "Oh, now we're doing weekends together? What a generous offer." "Maybe," I said. "Depends on how Thursday goes." She missed it. The line. The bait. She missed all of it. 2:06 p.m., I sat in my car across from the small brick coffee shop on Elm. It was the kind of place where baristas wear beanies in July and play indie music no one actually likes. At 2:14, she walked in wearing the same trench coat she wore to yoga. I'll admit, she looked stunning. Betrayal doesn't always come dressed in villainy. Sometimes it arrives like a Vogue cover. 2 minutes later, R showed up. He looked like someone cast to play a charming professor in a Netflix series. Tweed jacket, well-kept beard, smug aura included. He kissed her on the cheek. She laughed. Same laugh she used to save for me. I took pictures. Not because I needed them, but because I wanted them. They sat at the far table, the one with the window view. Talked. Smiled. Touched hands once. Then they left together. Not toward her car. Toward the motel on Franklin. Classic. I gave it 20 minutes. Then I walked into the cafe, ordered a coffee just to stay inconspicuous, and slipped the barista 50. Hey, I said. My wife just left here with that guy in the jacket. Did he leave a name when he picked up his order? The barista hesitated, then said, sure. Robert. Regular. No cream, 2 sugars. Robert. I had a name. I finished the coffee, tossed it in the bin, and smiled on my way out. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't racing. I was calm. I was in control. I had a blueprint. That night, she came home smelling like peppermint lotion and lies. How was yoga? I asked casually. She smiled. Relaxing. I nodded. You look relaxed. She kissed my cheek. You should come with me sometime. I laughed. Yeah, maybe I will. She went upstairs to shower. And I went back to the study to finish compiling the last piece of the puzzle, Robert's background. Turns out, R had a full name, Robert Ellison. Divorced. 2 kids. Taught at a community college about 20 minutes away. Judging by his Instagram, he also enjoyed hiking, sarcasm, and sleeping with other men's wives. I printed everything. Put it into a folder. Labeled it Echoes. I was on a naming spree. Petty? Maybe. But when your marriage becomes a crime scene, labeling the evidence helps. The next few days were quiet. The eye of the storm. She was sweeter. Softer. Told me she'd been thinking about us. I smiled. Nodded. Told her I was thinking too. But inside, I had already packed the survival kit. Screenshots, receipts, photos, even a voice memo she left someone named C that ended with, I don't care if he finds out. I'm tired of pretending. Oh, sweetheart. So am I. The chessboard was set. Her queen was exposed. And my next move? Check. Saturday morning came like any other, quiet, predictable, the kind of day couples spend sipping coffee and debating over pancakes or omelets. Ashley shuffled into the kitchen wearing my old college hoodie like nothing in the world was off-kilter. She always wore it after her wellness sessions, like wrapping herself in nostalgia erased whatever guilt might linger. I poured her coffee. She took it without a word, sipping like it was any normal Saturday. You busy today? I asked, casual. She glanced at her phone. Not really. Was thinking of catching up on laundry, maybe going for a run later. No yoga, I said, stirring my own coffee. She smiled without looking up. Rest day. I nodded. Cool. I had something I wanted to show you. That made her pause. She looked at me, mug halfway to her lips. What kind of something? I walked over to the counter, picked up a manila folder, and slid it across the table. Labeled in bold, sharp, Echoes. She stared at it like it had teeth. What is this? Open it, I said, sitting down across from her. She hesitated, then peeled back the flap. Inside was everything. The photos from the coffee shop, motel timestamps, screenshots of her calendar appointments that matched Robert's class schedule, and a still frame from one of the surveillance cameras I'd found outside Franklin Suites, her walking in. Hand in hand with her professor prints. Ashley went pale. This, Logan, you were following me? No, I said, calm. I was watching you. Big difference. Her hands trembled as she pulled out the final page, a transcript from a voicemail to see where she'd said, clear as day, I don't care if he finds out. I'm tired of pretending. She looked up. You invaded my privacy. I blinked. You turned our marriage into a group project. You think I was just going to sit back and grade you on effort. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Tell me something, I said, leaning forward. Did you ever plan to tell me? Or was I just supposed to keep making your coffee while you slipped out for your field trips? Logan, it wasn't like that. Then what was it like? She looked down. I felt lost. I needed to feel wanted again. You were wanted, I said. You just didn't want me. Silence. I was working, I continued. I was planning trips for us, saving for a down payment on a lake house. You know the one we saw on our anniversary? I was trying to build something. You were busy, tearing it down one Thursday at a time. Her voice cracked. You don't understand. Robert made me feel alive. I nodded slowly. And I guess I made you feel like a chore. Logan. No, it's fine, I said, standing. You made your choices. I just think it's time we live in them. She followed me into the hallway. So what? You're leaving me? I turned. No. You're leaving. What? I reached into the drawer near the front door and pulled out a second folder, this one labeled Exit Plan. Contained inside, divorce papers, pre-filled, and a printed copy of our prenup, signed by her, blessedly airtight. I spoke to an attorney 2 weeks ago, I said. House is mine. Car stays. You can keep the notebook. Her face twisted. You're serious? Dead. You'd really throw this away over a mistake? Wasn't a mistake, I replied. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. You orchestrated a full-scale betrayal with color-coded time slots. You're not being fair. I laughed. And you were. She stepped back, shoulders shaking. You were supposed to fight for me. I did, I said quietly. Every day for the past 2 years. While you were chasing alive. I was holding the line. You just never looked back long enough to notice. The next hour moved in near silence. She went upstairs. I sat in the living room, staring at the fireplace we never used. She came down with a suitcase, face puffy, eyes glassy. I didn't flinch. Not because I didn't care, but because I had nothing left to give her. At the door, she turned. Where do I go? Maybe Robert's still free, I said. You've got his Thursdays memorized. She opened her mouth, but I shut the door before she could form a syllable. I stood there for a long while, hands at my sides. No anger, no victory lap, just stillness. Then, for the first time in a long time, I exhaled. You'd think that once she left, it'd be over. The pain, the tension, the whole circus act of pretending everything was fine while the tent was on fire. But here's the truth they don't tell you in divorce brochures. The silence after betrayal isn't peace. It's echo. The day after Ashley left, the house felt cavernous. I walked from room to room, not looking for her, just trying to figure out if anything had changed. Spoiler, it hadn't. The couch still sagged in the same spot from where she used to curl up with her phone. Her sandals were still by the front door, like they hadn't gotten the memo yet. The kitchen smelled like lemon cleaner and something else, something faint, floral, and fading. Her perfume. I threw open the windows. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just kept moving. Laundry. Dishes. The small things that trick you into thinking you have control. I spent the whole first weekend like that, scrubbing, tossing, wiping her fingerprints off the life we built. Call it therapy with a broom. Monday morning came, and with it, the real world. Work. Emails. Meetings where I had to smile like I hadn't just amputated half my life with a ballpoint pen. Looking sharp, Logan, my boss said, nodding at my suit. New chapter, I replied, buttoning the last button on my jacket like it was a shield. The truth is, people don't ask about your personal life if you act like you're winning. So I kept showing up. Early. Shaved. Focused. I let the rumors trickle in at their own pace. Some coworkers whispered. Others offered half-hearted sympathy. I heard you're going through something, one said in the break room. I'm not going through it, I corrected. I'm walking out of it. And that's what it felt like. Every step, every email, every lunch break where I didn't check my phone expecting a lie in text form. It felt like walking. Away from her. Toward something. But don't let me fool you. Just because I was composed didn't mean I was healed. I still saw her face in the coffee shop I used to wait for her in. Still caught whiffs of her perfume in department stores. Still heard her laugh, faint, in the back of my mind, when I played old videos on my phone trying to remember if it had ever been real. And then came the letter. It arrived on a Thursday. Fitting. Unmarked envelope. No return address. But the handwriting was unmistakable. Ashley. I let it sit on the counter for an hour before I opened it. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't curious. I was prepared. And that, my friend, is worse. The letter was 4 pages long. Neat. Carefully written like she'd practiced each sentence with a thesaurus and a therapist. Logan, if you're reading this, I assume the dust has settled. I don't know how much you've pieced together or what version of me lives in your mind now, but I wanted to say things I didn't know how to say before. things I was too much of a coward to admit face to face. She went on to say she'd never meant to hurt me, which, in my experience, is the anthem of people who plan the knife's entry but not the exit. She explained how she lost herself somewhere along the way, how I became a mirror for everything she was trying to outrun. She said Robert was a mistake, one of many, but that he made her feel seen. Seen. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so familiar. I had looked at her every day, given her every piece of me, and she still needed strangers to light her up like a firework. Asterisk, I didn't write this to ask for forgiveness, she ended. I wrote it because I realized the man I left didn't deserve to be left like that. And I needed you to hear me say it. You were always enough. I just wasn't. I folded the letter. Didn't rip it. Didn't burn it. Just tucked it into the back of a drawer like a receipt for a return I never got to make. The thing is, I didn't need her apology. I didn't need the admission. I already had the facts. But what that letter gave me, what it confirmed, was that she knew. She knew she was the villain. And somehow, that wasn't enough. That night, I sat in my study, the blue light of the computer painting shadows on the walls. I pulled up the folder I hadn't touched in weeks, Ashfall, and opened a subfolder titled Robert Ellison. I hadn't done anything with it. Not yet. I told myself I wasn't that guy. That revenge was beneath me. That moving on meant not looking back. But here's the truth no one likes to admit. Justice and closure don't always wear the same clothes. I clicked through the files, screenshots, emails, a LinkedIn profile where Robert bragged about being a pillar of integrity and growth. Right below that was a 5-star review from one of his female students that, in light of what I knew, read like a comedy sketch. Then I saw it. An invitation. Faculty gala. Open bar. Spouses welcome. Friday night. Campus ballroom. And just like that, a quiet idea took root. Not a violent one. Not a scream-in-the-rain kind of plan. Just an ending. One she'd never see coming. The night of the gala, I dressed sharp. Not for her. Not for Robert. For me. Navy suit. Crisp shirt. The tie she once gave me for our 5th anniversary. Call it poetic. Call it petty. I called it precise. I arrived early. Moved through the room like a man with a mission but no hurry. The kind of calm that makes people nervous. There he was, Robert Ellison, talking to a group of colleagues near the bar. Glass of bourbon in hand, beaming like he just solved world hunger. I watched him for 5 minutes. Then I approached. He spotted me too late. That smug professor confidence cracked for just a second. You must be Logan, he said, extending a hand. Ashley mentioned. She mentioned a lot, I interrupted, ignoring his hand. Like how you two used to meet every Thursday. He blinked. Look, Ayo. You don't have to say anything, I said, smiling. Just wanted to shake the hand of the man who helped my wife realize what she really wanted. He raised a brow. And what was that? To be alone. I handed him a manila envelope. Labeled, professional discretion. Photos, texts, voice recordings. Enough to ruin your tenure and sink the ethics board. He opened it, scanning the contents. I haven't sent them. Yet. But if you ever speak her name again, publicly, privately, in a footnote, I will. And I won't just send them to your department. I'll send them to your ex-wife. Your kids. That school board you were hoping to join. Do you understand me? His face drained of color. Crystal clear, he said. Good, I said. Enjoy the bourbon. It's on me. I walked away. Just like that. No fight. No scene. Just facts. That was enough. A week later, I got a message from Ashley. Can we talk? Just coffee. I said yes. Not because I missed her, but because I wanted to see if she still knew how to look me in the eye. We met at the same coffee shop where she used to meet Robert. Poetic, again. She looked tired. Not broken. Just worn thin, like a page turned too many times. Thanks for meeting me, she said. I nodded. I heard about the gala, she said. Robert hasn't spoken to me since. He's scared. I stirred my coffee. Should be. She looked up. You really did all this? No, I said. You did. I just filed it. Silence. I was going to tell you, she said. That night at dinner, before you flipped the table. I smiled. That wasn't dinner. That was theater. She sighed. Do you still hate me? I leaned back. I don't hate you, Ashley. I pity you. You spent years looking for something real, and when you had it, you ran. She wiped her eyes. I wasn't ready for the version of love you gave me. No, I said. You just weren't ready for anything that didn't make you feel like the star of the show. The coffee cooled between us. What now? She asked. Now, I said, standing up, you heal. And I live. I left her sitting there, framed by the window where I once caught her with someone else. It's strange, the first night you sleep without resentment next to you. The silence was peaceful this time, not echoing, not haunting. Just quiet. I deleted the folder labeled Ashfall. Not out of forgiveness. Out of finality. I changed the locks. Repainted the bedroom. Got rid of the old coffee mugs, the ones we bought in San Diego. Everything that made me feel like I was walking through a museum of our collapse. Friends came back around. So did life. I started dating again. Slowly. Cautiously. I didn't compare. I didn't project. I just listened more than I spoke. Turns out, I had a lot to say. But more importantly, I finally had something worth hearing. One night, I sat on my porch, watching the sky shift from gold to dark, and thought, this is what peace feels like. Not revenge. Not anger. Just clarity. Months later, I got a call. A friend of a friend. Robert had been let go from the college. Not because of me, but apparently there was another complaint. Different woman. Same story. His past caught up to him. Ashley moved out of state. Took a new job. No contact since that last coffee. And me? I didn't burn the house down. Didn't post the evidence. Didn't scream or grovel or beg. I didn't need to. She wrote her own ending. All I did was underline it.